Indeed, this is very, very special. Aloha, I'm Kimo Hussey, and I'm here with a very, very good friend of mine.
Aloha, Grant Keillor. A real honour to be here with this crew and the ukulele friend.
And we're very, very excited because there's several wonderful, wonderful things we plan to do in this session. The main purpose of this session is education as it has to do with quality ukulele. One of the several special things we have is our three ukuleles built by Eric DeVine. We have this one, we have this one, and we have that one. And we'll get to these instruments in just a second, but first we want to talk about people. And the first thing I want to talk about to you, Grant, is actually you. Let's talk about you first. How did you get interested in ukulele, and how long have you been playing ukulele?
That's a great story, and I'm glad that we went down that path because there's loads of different discussions that we could have that shouldn't be on camera.
Well, before we get to your story, I noticed that your speech is a little bit different. Where are you from?
I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a
Ah,
Texan.
via,
I'm
via.
Scottish. So, yeah, I'm an implant in Houston. I've been there for 15 years, but as you can tell by my smooth Texas drawl, I'm actually from Scotland. Okay? And so, Kimo's going to translate just in case there's words that people don't understand, which is common when I speak to people. Anyway, back to the story. I renewed my wedding vows probably 10 years ago in the Big Island, and it was a secret.
Oh,
And we were on the beach, and I'd had it all set
a
up.
secret to whom? Your
My
wife
my
at the time?
my
Your
ex
wife?
my ex-wife.
Oh,
And so, but anyhow, I had a guy who was doing the ceremony, and from behind a palm tree came this young kid playing beautiful, beautiful Hawaiian music on a ukulele. And I'd been a failed guitar player my whole life, right? One of those typical people who are just a failed guitar player, right? And they spend their whole life with a guitar sitting in the corner of their house somewhere gathering dust. And I picked up that ukulele and it was like, hey. So I went into a shop the next day.
from
And
this guy that was at the
so I
beach?
grabbed it. They said,
Yeah.
here's a chord. And I went into the shop in the Big Island the next day and I was like, oh wow, look, I can actually play this easily. So I was playing the three usual chords, C, F, and G.
Yeah.
And within minutes, and I thought, I need to buy one of those. And so that's how I fell in love with the ukulele.
Great.
And then I met you, and then nothing but trouble happened after that, Kimo.
Yeah, but it was fun while it lasted,
It
right?
still is.
Yeah, still is.
It's been a wonderful roller coaster. I mean,
Yeah.
look at what we're doing today. This is amazing.
Um, can you tell us what it is about ukulele that you enjoy? The reason why I ask is it's always nice, I think, when we're able to share in ukulele and share ukulele in a way that doesn't come across as a responsibility for people to learn to play just because we love ukulele. So tell us what it is about ukulele that you enjoy.
So I think this is going to be the thread of our discussion because it started off, like I said, with the ease of playing and how quick you could make music and how much fun it is. And most people smile when they're playing the ukulele. Okay,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of sad, bluesy type ukulele players apart from me. But that's another story. That's the type of instruments that I'm drawn to. And so it kind of started off with this love of the ukulele. And then, I was looking online and came across this guy, Jay Lichty, all of a sudden. And I was like, oh. And my daughter, she was 2 at the time. And there was a song he'd composed called Mackenzie. And so I sent him a message, hey Jay, do you think you could send me the tabs for this song, Mackenzie? And he sent back, nope, I don't do tabs. It's one that I've kind of just made up
Was he an
myself.
ukulele player?
He's a builder. He's one of the best builders in the world. He's one of the top guys. And I
Yeah.
said one day, Jay, I may have one of your beautiful ukuleles. And that was right at the beginning of my journey. By the way, I selfishly have two of his instruments at home now, but that's thanks to you also.
Right, right.
That's probably why I'm
We'll
divorced.
get to those in just a little bit. Help me remember. We'll get back to those in
Okay,
just a little
okay,
bit.
okay.
Anyway, what you enjoy about ukulele?
So nowadays, it's the quality, the sound, the looks, the beauty of them, and that brings in playability. And so, when you get to these things, not only do they look great, they play really easily.
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
They do.
and they make beautiful music, beautiful sound. That's what I love. It's
Right.
the beauty, and it's the soft beauty of ukulele that draws me in.
One of the things I really appreciate about ukulele that you've addressed a little bit is songs that go slow. And you know what? Even sad songs are very good because what the ukulele does, in my mind, the ukulele is it's a catalyst. It's not the end. It's the means to the end. And the end can be just something as simple as enjoyment, just enjoyment. That's all.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that the ukulele provides people very easily is a means to express through the instrument, using music, because it just simply makes people feel good.
I mean, one of the things I quite often do, I'm an early riser, and I'll get up at 4 in the morning, and there's nothing better than drinking a cup of coffee and just quietly playing on an ukulele and playing beautiful music, right?
Right.
I mean, it's great. It's so soothing for the soul. It sets you up for the day.
It massages
And
your soul.
It does, and it tends to drag you down a path. I mean, ukuleles are really strange, not instrument. It's the whole purpose around ukulele. It's kind of like a metaphor at times, because the amount of people that are drawn to ukulele, the different types of people from different races, religions, creeds, it doesn't matter. They're all pulled together by this strange little instrument, right? And then people start doing good things
Right.
around it,
They
right?
sure do.
I mean, the amount of ukuleles that I've given away to people is unbelievable. Every time I get a new ukulele,
Right.
and I've got another one, that a travel one, it's like, hey, you're going to learn to play the ukulele if they show an interest. And it just, it's weird. I think that kind of helps capture the...
One of the things you mentioned that I think is very, very good is playing very early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why that's good is number one, you generally play by yourself, so it's a very self-reflecting time.
Yeah.
It's a time that's really quiet, and because of that, you don't play forcefully early in the morning, and it's so wonderful because sometimes people, I think, make the assumption that every time you play your ukulele, and especially when you play with friends, the whole purpose is to get that adrenaline going and just go to town and beat that ukulele into submission. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there is so much more to ukulele. And we're not saying that, the other side of ukulele that people don't do is not as good. The wonderful thing about ukulele, I think, is I call it self-choice. Be the kind of ukulele player that you prefer to be. In my mind, a person who just wants to pick his uke up once a week, maybe tickle the strings a little bit for 15 or 20 minutes and put it down, is just as valid an ukulele player as a person who likes to play every day. You do whatever makes you feel good with the ukulele because it is so responsive, and in that area, and it'll help you find a lot of happiness. Actually,
Takes me back to one of our earlier meetings that we had here in Hawaii, and you've actually asked me this question probably about 15 times, I think, and it's a great question. What is it you want to do, Grant? What do you want to do with the ukulele? Tell me, what do you want to do? And it always puts me in a position where you're always challenging your thoughts. And I remember responding to you, and I'm still in that same place today. And it's about finding a style and finding my place with the ukulele. And I think that's important for people. And so, I mean, I get your point. If that's playing with a group of people in Kanakapila, playing hard and fast, and they love it,
Right.
that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I'm a little more selfish, because the ukulele it helps me, and helps me find who I am. And I mean, the best response I think I have now, kind of looking back on the 10 years, it's a journey, okay?
Right.
It's a complete journey, and it never ends. It just never ever ends. It's like
Right.
some of these guys, this guy DeVine, he's on a journey as a builder, and
He is.
and his stuff just keeps getting better and better and better, and it's phenomenal. But I think a lot of ukulele players get frustrated with a plateau, because
Right.
right, and it's because they're stuck into this one
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's important for people to realise that this is a journey, and you got to work on the journey to get to where you want to be.
Right.
But you've also got to know that you're heading somewhere as well. That's important.
Right. Absolutely.
It's really important.
Okay. Let's keep talking about people, because there are more people to talk about. But just before we do that, I want to take 3 strums. Here comes 3 strums. Give us 3 strums, buddy. And here comes 3 strums on this. We just want to be able to put some ukulele and sound into what we do. Okay, back to people.
But it's funny, just while you're on that point, because 3 divines, 3 completely different instruments, 3 completely different sounds. And it's phenomenal, and they're all ukuleles. So
That's right.
I think the one thing that I would say about people, if you ever get a chance to get a hold of some really high-end quality instruments, take the opportunity and play them, right? Because I think one thing that I experienced early on, you get this ukulele acquisition syndrome. Everybody's got it, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're on that start of your journey, you can buy $100. And I'm not knocking this, not one bit, but listen to me at the end of the message here. So you buy $100 ukulele, and then you're like, okay, I want to get better. And so you go and buy another $100 ukulele, and then another $110 ukulele, thinking that there's going to be a magic sauce there, right? But you're only ever going to be able to play to that uk's ability. So if you've got 10 ukuleles, you'd be better buying one really good instrument, right? Because then the ukulele's always going to be a step ahead of you. You're always going to be catching up with it, and you're never going to be limited by the instrument. And so, sorry, I think it's just good for people to understand that.
No, that's a wonderful thing, and nowadays in ukulele, as ukulele continues to mature, there are so many new builders who are making very, very high quality instruments. The situation market wise with ukulele players is a lot of ukulele players are unfamiliar with things of quality in ukuleles that can help them become better players. And that's the reason why we do very special things like we do. So I want to continue on and talk about people. And the next person we want to talk about is Eric DeVine. So
He's trouble.
Yeah.
He's just trouble.
Tell us, since you're the guest of honor, how did you get to meet Eric? Do you know him?
I know Eric very well now. In a short space of time, we got to know one another and become good friends. I mean, he's a great guy, great family guy, and he's one of the interesting kind of epiphanies that I came over when I kind of met a number of different builders that are out there, because they tend to be introverts. You know, they kind of lock themselves away in their workshop and they're, you know, like looking like magical little elves, and all of a sudden these wonderful instruments come out. And so Eric's found a spot. Yeah, I mean, he's world class. There's no doubt about that.
Do you remember? And if so, if you could tell us about your first experience playing or hearing an ukulele built by Eric, and because of that, got attracted to his work.
When was the first time I played? I think it was you had a DeVine, and the thing about Eric's ukuleles is most people don't actually get to see or hear them, right? Because they go direct to Eric. He builds. He doesn't like build and say, hey, I'm going to sell some of these things. He's got an order list that's long as your arm, okay? And so most people actually don't get to play and see and hear these things because they go off and they're hidden behind closed doors.
Right.
So I did get to play one of yours before. And I'm trying to think, was it a tenor? But I remember the first time that I heard and played a DeVine baritone, and I just started falling in love with the baritones at that time.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh my God, that thing was addictive. And it sometimes can, you know, I kind of describe it as being like Xanax, because when you're playing it, you're just off in this lull. And this going back to Eric, you know, the way Eric sets his instruments up and builds them, and I know now from experience how they play, sound, and feel the way they do, because he's building them for you, Kimo. And you know, other builders that we know are players, and so they build them for their style, and their instruments are like that. But Eric builds for Kimo style, soft playing, and it's addictive. It's really, really addictive.
It probably means, and thank you for that, but it probably means that he embraces his style of play and how he thinks instruments should be played, kind of align with my own thoughts, and you know, it's probably the reason why I love his work. I've known him for years now, and we love to get together periodically, and not only talk about ukulele, but do things that we think will really help share ukulele.
It's funny you should mention that, because Eric was doing a little bit of work for me on Baby Blue here, and I was chatting to him yesterday. He's going, so how's it feel? And I said, well, it's good. He said, so I left the E string. I kind of left it really low action for your particular style, Grant. We can change it anytime if you like, but I know how you like to play. And so what's really interesting about that is when he knows who you are as a player, then he'll almost build an instrument with you in mind, which is crazy. Right? Isn't that crazy?
And that's hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's when you asked me just strum, and this thing here, it's still ringing. It's still, you know, it's crazy. And so, yeah, I mean,
and here comes another sound that's different, but just as wonderful. Isn't that great?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna get more specifically to Eric's use, but we want to bring one more person in here, and that person is you, Joe Q. Public, ukulele player. Tell us, guest of honor, what do you think can be accrued from the standpoint of something that we can share with ukulele players out there and builders as well?
Well, first, that's one of the nicest things somebody's called me as a guest of honour. I get
Well,
called
you
I
are.
get called a lot of different things in my life, but I'll take that one as a nice compliment.
That's because you're a Renaissance man.
We always get into so much trouble when we're together. But, I mean, again, it's one of the things I would say for people out there is, and I'm going to bring Sean into the discussion, not into the discussion, but talk about him for a minute, and while he can't respond. But this is not a marketing ploy at all, right?
Right.
But if you go on his site, and it's the Ukulele Friend site, okay, .com, and you can actually look at all these fantastic instruments that pass through his shop from all these different builders.
Right.
And then you've got videos of Kimo playing, you've got videos of Manny, there's all different folks come in and play. I mean, what I would suggest that for folks out there, for just normal people like me, that what to do is to look, to see, and to listen to the types of instruments that you're drawn to.
Exactly.
And the type of builders that are out there, and then maybe aspire to something along the way, you know.
Exactly.
And I talk to Sean, and you know, he's got a range of instruments, and they're all great instruments. But you know, that's the way I think that people need to kind of do this, rather than trying to go into a guitar center or some of these places, because you know what, guys, and I'm not being disrespectful, but those are manufactured, you know, cheaply manufactured, brought in, and even with a professional, you know, luthier trying to get those things set up to your needs, it ain't going to get you there. And
Right.
so start to listen to what you want to hear and look at what's pretty for you, and then start heading down that path. I think that was trying to
So,
respond.
absolutely. So, thank God we're not here to try and sell you an ukulele because Grant's ukuleles and mine are not
They're not for
are
sale.
not for sale. But we hope that the fact that we're not trying to sell you an ukulele will open your mind and your heart to what these instruments are about, and they will open your heart and your mind to the kind of quality that Eric puts into his ukes consistently.
One thing, Kimo, just to kind of wrap up on that thing, what I think's important, because I'm not a musician, right? I've got a day job. My passion is around playing ukuleles and playing some musical instruments, and so the message is you don't need to be the best player in the world to have a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Right? And I mean,
Absolutely.
music works for my soul, and so that's just the message that's out there. And so I'm quite comfortable not being the best player in the world. Okay.
Okay, good for you. Good for you. Okay, shall we get into some instruments?
Absolutely.
Let's start with this one. There's a story I would like to share with you about this instrument, and this story is so wonderful, and it starts with the fact that this is a tenor instrument, but the scale, the neck, and the scale is the distance from here, this nut, down to the saddle here, is extended a bit. It's extended about between 1 and 2 inches. And there are several reasons for that. One reason is by extending horizontally the scale, it provides the player with more room, horizontal room, to play chords like up here. And one of the things we discovered when we did this extended scale was that when we tuned the ukulele to GCEA, it seemed like the strings were very tight. And so when I went to some of my builder friends to find out why, they said, well, it's a natural thing because of the extended scale. So what I decided to do, in order to treat that the tightness of the strings, was to downtune the ukulele. And at that point, I was talking to Jay Lichty, and we were talking about tuning sweet spots. And that is there such a thing as tuning sweet spots? I don't know. But what I learned just by accident was that when we tuned the ukulele, when we downtuned the ukulele one full step from a C6 tuning to a B flat 6 tuning, I just loved the sound. And that sound pretty much has become, has become my sound of choice. So basically, what we did was we took this regular tuning, reduced it one full step to, and this is G, C, E, A, to this.
Beautiful.
And it's like F, B flat, D, G. And again, that's F, B flat, D, G. So anyway, back to this ukulele. It does have the extended scale. This top is spruce, and the sides are
Brazilian rosewood.
Brazilian rosewood.
Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely. The back of that is fantastic, and the way
Right.
it blends together.
So that's just a little bit about this ukulele. We're gonna take a little break here, and when we come back, we'll start focusing on the sound of this.